In the middle of tremendous darkness and personal tragedy, false lights are trying to guide us, and they can bring shipwreck. We must be focused on God's pathways and His light in the storms of life. Christ is the light of navigation. Hello, and welcome to the Light of Navigation and this Reflections podcast. My name is Marguerite Lever Woodall, and I'm an author, speaker, and your host. In these podcasts, I love to explore and contemplate different life issues and their solutions through the lens of God's wisdom and His words. In this 27th episode called What's in a Name? Let's explore and discover some unusual and interesting things about names and why they can be important to us. God deeply cares about our name. After all, He has several Himself. Join me in giving thought on the tough and unusual issues of life, and let's discover God's pathways through them. When I recently was studying about how we can be a source of pain in our relationships, or someone else may be a pain in ours, I thought of Jabez. This was a man in the Old Testament who was given a name no one wanted. He was named by his mother after a very painful and difficult birth. The Hebrew meaning is he grieves or makes sorrowful. He will cause pain. It's been said that Jabez's mother was using a pun about grief and pain from God, which echoed the curse of Eve, that women would bear children in great pain after the fall. In 1 Chronicles 4:10, it states, "And Jabez called out to the God of Israel, 'If only you will bless me and enlarge my territory. May your hand be with me and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain.' And God granted the request of Jabez." I think Jabez was trying to counter the implications and the possible results concerning his name with this request of God. In Eastern cultures, there's a great deal associated with a name. It defined personal and cultural identities, and sometimes linked them to family history. Names could embody spiritual or religious meanings. Boys underwent a naming ceremony 8 days after their birth. If a name is unpleasant or cruel, I can't imagine someone speaking my name and the immediate definition of its meaning coming to the other person's mind every time. A name is descriptive and can cast unwanted or undeserved aspersions on a person's character, too. The sad part is that a less than flattering name most often may not have been deserved and not well thought out by one's parents. In short, a name is a label, good or not so good. One of the saddest stories in the scriptures is about Rachel giving birth to her second son. And with her last breath, for she was dying, she named him Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin. That's in Genesis 35, verse 18. Ben-Oni translated means son of my sorrow. She knew she was dying as a result of the child's birth. This name would have labeled him as the very cause of his mother's death for his lifetime, and a reminder for Jacob of the death of the love of his life, his favorite wife. Jacob immediately stepped in those moments and declared a different one. He changed it immediately to Benjamin instead, which means son of my right hand. In the Hebrew culture, this name was synonymous with a beloved and important individual a supporter or helper, and a position of honor. Name changes were common in Hebrew culture. Renaming was practiced to signify a change in destiny, a breaking away from the past, or to bring a change of fortune. I believe it can be said that Jacob's intervention in the renaming emphasizes the importance of a name that can highlight or possibly label who people think you are, or what you believe about yourself. Jacob renaming his son to Benjamin was probably an act of faith to wish his son a good future, not one marked by its beginning in tragedy. Smart man. With covenant, a name change can be incorporated. God changed Abram and Sarah's names when he cut the first covenant with them. He gave them a part of his. Now the Hebrew people, out of reverential fear, considered God's name unspeakable. But if spoken, it sounded like a short, exhaled, breathy sound, somewhat like a wind. So God added his name to Sarah's, and it became Sarah. And Abram became Abraham. Part of a covenant ceremony in the present time is adding someone's name to yours as a symbol of its strength and oneness. We see this in marriage ceremonies when a woman takes on the last name of the man she marries. Marriage is a covenant, not a contract. There is far more understanding to be gained about names, but far too much to describe here. However, in my research, I came across a passage in Isaiah 56, 4-5, that truly moved me. It says this: "To the eunuchs who keep my Sabbaths, who choose what pleases me, and hold fast to my covenant, I will give them in my house and within my walls a memorial and a name better than that of sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that will not be cut off." The ancient practice of making someone a eunuch was widespread for centuries, for many reasons. They were considered more trustworthy in guarding harems of women and to secure employment in a palace. Slaves that were castrated were considered more valuable. It was also a grotesque form of punishment, and also used to torture or demoralize an enemy. It was never a Hebrew practice. I was so moved reading this passage in Isaiah because of these precious people who could not have children through no fault of their own, and they were promised a name instead that would be a memorial, an everlasting one, if they followed the living God. That promise struck me as tremendous. I wonder, what does it mean to be remembered forever from God's purview? Not only that, it states that this new name for history's eunuchs would be better than sons or daughters. In reflecting on that, I wonder, what would that look like? For example, my name, Marguerite, has two meanings. Its initial meaning is a pearl in the Greek. The second is a flower, the Marguerite daisy. The first and earliest meaning is a double-edged sword. It's interesting to note that a pearl is only formed through suffering. The suffering of the oyster when it's buffering itself against a grain of sand that lodged itself inside its shell. Its only defense is to add layer after layer of pearlescent film around the irritant until the end result is the formation of a pearl. Pearls have great value for some, but that value came at a price for the poor oyster. The price was continuous, daily, ongoing suffering, until a sufficient coating was in place to buffer it. Well, I wasn't enthusiastic about having a name that represents the end result of a constant, continuous, ongoing suffering. But then I think about the scriptures that speak of the 12 gates of entry into the New Jerusalem. Did you know they're formed out of gates of pearl? Could it be said that we only enter that city through some form of suffering, large or small? By that I mean being willing to give it all for the sake of following the one who already gave it all, Christ. Remember his words in Matthew 16:24. If anyone wants to follow after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Suffering has been a companion of sorts, more often than I would have preferred. Some of it I've brought on myself, and some of it is just life happening in a fallen world. Like others, there's been many hardships in my life along with its joys. Ironically, in my darkest valleys where the suffering ran the deepest, is where I found God's greatest movements and discovered his love for me in my life. What about all of the martyrs who've gone before us over the centuries? I'm no martyr. I wouldn't dare compare myself with those who were. In the Western culture, I think we've lost sight of the standard of what it truly means to follow Christ, if indeed we ever knew what it was in the first place. It's the standard that is willing to suffer and even die for what we believe in. Those who haven't lost sight of it, you'll find in the third world countries where they are martyred daily by the hundreds, if not thousands, for what they believe. In some countries, they know it's a death sentence when they choose to follow Christ. So, what's in a name? What's in a name is how we've lived our lives, our legacy. What lasting memorial or mention did we leave behind when our name is spoken after we're gone? Did we walk in an unforgettable and remarkable life, or one that no one wants to remember? How many lives did we touch or change for the better? Just a few days ago, after I decided to speak on this subject, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I've been grief-stricken even though I've not been an ardent follower of his up to this point. I've only viewed and listened to his campus events a few times. I didn't know him personally, but my spirit did as a follower of Christ. The Lord clearly spoke to me the day afterward and said, Charlie set once again, through his martyrdom, the standard that was forgotten long ago in this nation. What standard was God talking about? It's the standard of being willing to die for what you believe in, of being totally sold out and committed to the God we say we love and follow. The Word impacted me. We lived a very complacent Christianity as a whole in this nation. So once again, I ask, what's in a name? Did you know the last name Kirk is from the Old Norse or Scottish language, which means church community? In the Greek, it means the Lord's house. If you look at the name of Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica, you'll find this definition: ever powerful. Combine the names through the marriage of Erica to Kirk, and you have ever powerful church community. Well, now, it looked to me like his martyrdom is resetting priorities and bringing a whole host of church community to unity powerfully. Don't you agree? Thank you for taking time to listen today. A name is only remembered by the individual's actions, not by the lack thereof. God loves your name no matter who you are or where you are, and He wants your name to be a memorial in His hallways as well. If this podcast will be a blessing for someone you know, please pass it on. Your comments are valued, and subscribing is also deeply appreciated. In the next episode of Reflections titled Kick the Coffin Over, I'll be sharing about living as though you're either alive or you've already buried yourself.